Today will be the day of celebrations inside Parliament. It will be also a day where battle lines will sharpen between the opposition and the Treasury benches. Joining me on this broadcast is Salim Dharanidharan, DMK spokesperson. We have Radhika Khera representing the BJP, and Aarti Jairat is a political analyst. Salim Dharanidharan, yesterday, a resolution was moved by your party that you will be taking that issue up inside Parliament. You are seeking support because the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister has written to Chief Ministers of all southern states that they should all come on board as far as opposing delimitation is concerned and demanding that there should be an embargo of sorts. In fact, put delimitation on hold for 30 years has been his demand. Has he got support from other parties and other states?
I think most chief ministers and the opposition bench have supported the DMK and their demand. It's simply because not just against Tamil Nadu, it's against many other states in India. And basically, I think the idea that you will redraw constituencies based on population in itself is flawed, because today it could be maybe the south of India that's at the back foot. Maybe next time when this happens, let's say after 10 years, then it could be some other state, because population keeps changing and TFR of India as a whole is reducing. So that's why our leader also reiterated yesterday the single point agenda for the DMK parliamentarians this time would be to make sure that delimitation does not happen. Okay, the Home Minister, the Prime Minister give assurances, but we want them in the Parliament to, on record, tell that the proportion of MPs from parliamentarians from south of India and also in Tamil Nadu would not reduce, even if the number will increase. And on top of that, if possible, to make sure that delimitation in itself does not happen. If at all delimitation has to happen, then our first demand is that the proportion, let's right now, 7.2% of the parliamentarians in the parliament are from Tamil Nadu. We do not want that to reduce. As per the 1971 formula, it is going to go to 5%. Yes. We will not allow that to happen. Or temporary freeze and then have discussion with the states, yes, bring a consensus on what the states want. But unlike other bills, if you don't do anything until December 31st, 2025, it is inevitable that delimitation happens. It's even beyond the purview of the court. Once it will go to delimitation committee would come up with, okay, let's do it based on the population. That's why we want immediately a temporary freeze and then a discussion and then see what can be done.
Okay, but is temporary freeze really an option? Because in several parts, several constituencies in northern India, Aarti Jairat, a member of parliament represents almost like 15 to 20 lakh, individuals or citizens. That's a huge number. While, India today is very different from what it was in 1976 when it was first put on hold. And then again, during the Vajpayee government in 2001, the delimitation exercise was put on hold. It is very different now because the western states, the northern states, are also forming almost like a counter-consolidation group demanding that this exercise be undertaken.
Yes.
Okay, there seems to be a problem with Aarti Jairat's line. We'll try and fix that. But come in now, Radhika. The question is that the concerns of southern states aren't really, misplaced or misfounded, because their concerns are valid. Even if their numbers go up, it may not be in proportion to how it will increase in the northern parts of India.
See, the problem with the opposition parties is that they don't want to do anything which benefits the country. What the situation now, they want to go back to the 1971 census. The situation in 1971 and today is very different. The population then and the population today is very different. The issues then and the issues today are very different. So they have to be open to discussion. And I really hope that they will not continue to behave in an unruly manner and create ruckus in Parliament. If they have issues, they should raise them in Parliament. That is what the Parliament is for. It is open for discussions. And we are always open for discussions. If they have some issues, they can lay them on the table. They can discuss in Parliament. And I really hope they actually discuss and not walk out, not create chaos, not start screaming and shouting. That is, if they are really, really bothered about taking the country forward and taking their state forward. They have to make that call whether the satta is important for them or the development of their states is important for them and the country is important for them. So let's see what they're going to do in Parliament. If they have issues, like I said, anyone who has issues is welcome to bring them up, and there will be a discussion. They can bring in their issues, and we will try and resolve them, and we'll come up with things. But just threatening and walking out and creating chaos is not going to solve anything. That is not the way any issue is solved. So if
Okay.
they have an issue, they're most welcome to bring
Okay.
it up.
Okay, fine. Fine. Let's see how it actually plays out in Parliament, because there are other issues which also includes, the reciprocal U.S. tariffs, which has been spoken by elaborately by Donald Trump. Does India have really a plan to counter? That is the bigger question that is being asked. But Aarti, Jairat, come in on the issue of delimitation. I mean, it cannot be put on hold anymore is the sense that you get, certainly. The demand that is coming in from MK Stalin is an embargo of another 30 years.
Yes, I know, Maria, it's going to be very difficult to put it on hold because, as you mentioned, the population in North India is growing, the constituencies are becoming unwieldy, and it's very difficult for an MP to handle the demands of a constituency that has a population of over 20 lakhs. So obviously something needs to be done. But at the same time, I do feel that the southern states have a point when they say that their proportional representation in parliament will go down simply because they have been very good and they have brought their population under control. So, you will have to find a way of, making it up to them because they have been they have towed the line, they have exercised birth control, they have brought their population under control, whereas the northern states have not really done that, and that's why their population is burgeoning. So some kind of a via media will have to be worked out, and I think all parties need to sit across the table on this because otherwise it is going to become a very contentious and very difficult issue to resolve. And particularly, Maria, because next year elections are coming up in Tamil Nadu. So this is going to become a major election issue in Tamil Nadu. And I think that, it is really, it's in everybody's interest that they sit across the table and find a way to balance the interests of the South and the North. Because, there should be equity, it should be fair, it should be just. And no one should be punished because they've controlled their population and, the others have not.
Absolutely. And can there be a different formula? I mean, right now everybody is speaking about with the pro rata. Can there be a different formula which can be arrived at, and that will be a formula of consensus where all opposition parties and the government sit across and come up with that formula? Salim Dharnidharan, what is it that the state is proposing? My question is that it can't be put on hold for 30 years. Then what is the solution?
See, the BJP spokesperson, when she spoke, said the opposition wants to divide and do not want to do things in the interest of the country. But I'd like to remind, in 76 it was put on hold, not this in 75 states, which are effective in the two-child policy or child birth control. In 2001, the BJP Prime Minister Vajpayee put it on hold, never spoke about the issue because he knows it's a Pandora box that can threaten the country's unity. But why again this issue is now taken up? Because the BJP and its Prime Minister for the last 2 years have been saying we want delimitation to happen. They put the census itself on hold to make sure it happens only after 26, because 29 elections they can do after the delimitation is done. Why? The term gerrymandering, which says that redraw constituencies based on the incumbent's preference. So, because it so happened that the population of the states where BJP is doing very well have drastically increased, the proportion of seats from these states will increase. That which means the electoral chances are much higher. So this is the main point. So the whole Pandora box on this matter was opened by the BJP because it benefits them. They didn't expect that we will ask for justice. So it's a question of justice. Why should we be penalized? Why should there be 4 million why should 4 million people have one parliamentarian? So these things have to be discussed. But again, unlike a bill, it can't be introduced. The time is ticking. We have only about 8 months. So first put a temporary freeze, or as my leader said, 30-year freeze. Then have a discussion with us. Right? If at all you don't want to do a 30-year freeze, like some of them are saying, then temporary freeze.
Okay.
Because until a discussion could be done with the state.
How can... Yes. Okay, how can this be addressed? there has to be a solution. If the larger question is that the Chief Minister has written to other southern states, you have a support of a number of them, including Karnataka Chief Minister, but there is Andhra Chief Minister who is yet to make his view known on delimitation, but he stands with the centre on the issue of national education policy, because again that is one issue which you say is Hindi imposition, which is likely to be raised in this session of Parliament. But there has to be India is not really prepared for a larger debate on North versus South. Radhika Khera, it has to be addressed. We are on the cusp of becoming the third largest economy. There are other issues at stake. Can these divisions or fault lines be brought on the surface and not diversity, which has to be celebrated? Radhika, if you heard me.
I can't hear your question. It's all cracking up.
Okay, can you hear me now? Is this better? So my question is that we are on the cusp of becoming the third largest economy. Can India really afford a North versus South debate or a division on these lines, where the contribution to the GDP by southern states cannot be overlooked?
Maria, we don't want a division. We are one country. And it is the South, opposition parties in the south of India who have to realize that. They can't keep on coming and saying for everything that is being done for the benefit of the nation that you are against us. The Prime Minister has been talking about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas and doing work even in southern India, despite the fact that we are not in power over there. We have never left the south of India like an orphan. Never have we mistreated the south of India. For us, every state is equal. It is the opposition parties like the DMK and the Congress in southern India who try to create a divide, whether it is based on language, whether it is based on these issues. If the entire country is going to go through delimitation, why should there be no delimitation in the south? It is not fair for the other states as well. So, like I said, if you have an issue, you raise it, you talk about it. But unfortunately, what we've been seeing in the past 10 years is that the opposition does not want to talk. They do not want to discuss. You see the example of the Waqf bill as well. Every time there has been a JPC discussion over there, there has been chaos, there have been people throwing glasses, there has been drama. That's not the way a responsible opposition behaves. So if the DMK is actually very serious, they should come out and have a serious discussion. We are not stopping them. And there will always be a way. A discussion always leads to a solution. But by just threatening or by creating chaos and by doing all these conversations and saying and trying to create a narrative that the Bharatiya Janata Party is trying to...
Okay, I have just enough time. I have just enough time for Aarti Jairath. Aarti Jairath, just a quick recap for our viewers, how it played out in the 1970s and in 2001. When Atal Bihari Vajpayee put it on hold for 25 years. Of course, that embargo ends in 2026. That's next year. So it's a headache for this government. But how did the previous governments navigate something which is potentially so tensed, or should I say, so sensitive?
No, absolutely. I think previous governments realized the sensitivity of this issue, which is why they decided to put it on hold. And, Maria, I want to go back to a point you made earlier about the cusp, we being on the cusp of becoming the third largest economy and how we need unity at this time. It's not just the third largest economy. Look, the whole world is in turmoil today. After Donald Trump has taken over as US president. And I think it is really important, given the kind of, tactics that Donald Trump is adopting in terms of tariff and, whatever. It is very important that we as a nation remain united and speak in one voice. So, honestly, I was very disappointed to hear the BJP spokesperson adopt such a confrontational tone, because this is not the time for confrontation. This is the time to work unitedly.
And disappointed with the BJP.
Sorry?
Nothing, please go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
even as we speak, the Prime Minister's cavalcade has just moved in The Prime Minister's cavalcade has just entered the Parliament, so there would be a core group meeting, which is almost like a tradition which is followed during the Parliament session, where the Prime Minister and his top ministers will be attending that meeting, perhaps discussing their strategy ahead of this session. But yes, it's a day of celebration, a day after the Champions Trophy, something that will be seen also inside Parliament.